What is going on, everybody? My name is Peroxide Pick, and I'm here today for you with a video on my mod load order of 2020 in December. So this load order is the one that I've come up with, and it ended up at the end of 2020 throughout the entire year of checking mods. I've gone through thousands of mods for the last years, and then even more so through the last year. So this is kind of what my mod loader ended up being after the entire time of going through, mod lists, devising them and creating them. This is what I've ended up with. I've taken a lot of time into creating this video. I'd really appreciate if you guys hit the like button, subscribe, and definitely comment below what your favorite mod is or what you think I could do better. But this is my new way of creating it. It's going to be a little bit better than what I had before. I'm going to have the mods up on the screen here for you in just a minute. It's going to pop up on the right side, and I'm going to talk about the few mods that will show up on the screenshot, and then we'll go on to the next one. This isn't going to be an in-depth review of each mod, just telling you what each one generally does and why I like it. So if you guys like the video, please hit that like button, subscribe, and comment down below. I'd appreciate it. Enjoy the video. So the first one on my list is the unofficial Skyrim Special Edition patch, the USEP rather. This is just a mod that's kind of a staple. You can't play this game with mods without this mod. It just fixes so many bugs within the game, and it's something you couldn't live without once you use it. The next one is Divine Interiors, Shadows and Light. This mod really darkens the inside and really takes advantage of how actual lighting works within the world. So that way shadows and just general inside indoors are a lot darker, like how they would normally, instead of just lit up by imaginary lights. The next one would be the Font Replacer and Dural. This is just a font replacer mod. It's one of my favorite ones. It's what I use myself. The next one would be the 60 FPS menus natural interface. This mod just changes it so that whenever you're in the the main menu and any menu, you're just significantly faster just because it keeps the FPS higher than what it would normally be. Makes it a lot smoother. Next one would be the TES Legends Loading Screens 1K. This mod is one of my most favorite mods of all time. It does a very small thing where it changes the loading screens into newly created paintings and some screenshots of the world and what it looks like, and really makes it more lifelike in a way. I would really love to be able to see Skyrim or even just the Elder Scrolls series in this type of aspect where it's like an animated series. I think it would be so good if it was generally created like how this mod creator made these loading screens. Next one is going to be the Music for Skyrim by Maddie Palanen. Hopefully I said that right. This is a music mod that adds in a lot of new songs into the game that will partially overwrite some songs, but also just adding them into the game, making it so that you don't listen to the same 3 songs over and over again. It does for combat, exploration, dungeons. No matter what, you'll hear a new song at some point. It's a really great mod. I have the Music for Skyrim 1, not the 2, because I felt the 2 was just too big, and I felt like 1 was fine and added enough music into the game that I enjoyed. Okay, so the next up on our list is the Immersive Sounds Compendium, Xbox Edition. This mod adds in, or rather, completely overhauls sounds in the game, such as mainly all about weapons. So instead of when you hit an enemy with a mace and it's sounding like a sword, it actually sounds like a blunt object. It really changes it. It's a small change within the game, but you feel so much more alive actually in the game whenever you're doing so. You're like, wow, these sounds sound like how they should when you would imagine it in your head, instead of it just being completely off. Next would be the Oblivion HUD with pastel map markers. This is a change to the HUD more traditionally like how Oblivion was, and changes it so that the markers on your compass are colored in, so they look, better than just the standard white ones. Next one would be improved sleep and wait menu 1 week. It extends the wait menu or sleep menu up to a week of hours. It's crazy. So much easier to wait, for shops to be refunded and all of their stuff than to wait 24 hours, stop, wait another 24 hours, and then wait an additional 2 hours, and then finally their inventory is restocked up. So next would be the renamed arrows and bolts. It renames arrows and bolts so that it starts with arrow or bolt in front, so that way they're all categorized in the same area, so they're not all over the place. Next would be gold to septum. It changes it so that all gold are changed to septum in name instead of staying at gold like how they should be. That's how they're referred to in the game. Last would be the smoke-free loading screens. It eliminates all smoke in the game on the loading screen, so you can actually see the loading screen mods that you have downloaded onto your game file. So next on our list we have the XP32 Maximum Skeleton plus Realistic Ragdolls and Force. What this does is it makes it so that whenever you kill an enemy, they don't do that spin animation, and that their body reacts to real physics, so they get thrown around. It's pretty cool. Next would be the Realistic Impacts. So any larger creatures in the game, dragons, mammoths, and giants, specifically, will be able to knock you back a lot farther, like they seem like they should be able to. After that is the 150% jumping and sprinting. It increases your jumping and sprinting by 150%. Warmonger Armory SSE by Batman and Duxilla. This is a armor mod that adds in a bunch of new really realistic and lore-friendly armors that I really enjoy. After that is going to be the Black Mage Armor SE. I find that mages do not have a lot of representation when it comes to armors or clothing in general. This adds in a significant amount of them to be added into the game that are lore friendly and craftable anywhere. Last for this section is the left hand rings. So instead of just being able to wear one ring, you can wear the left-handed one, and that's what makes this one great. More enchantment, you know what I mean? The next 6 mods on our list is going to start with the Wearable Lanterns mod. This mod allows you to equip a lantern onto your belt, essentially, so that way you don't have to carry a torch, sorry. And since the interiors are a lot darker, especially dungeons, this is a great mod to have. It really expands your viewing and actually kind of creates a lore-friendly way of creating light, instead of just spamming the light magic spell or using a torch, which really can go against your playstyle. After that is Light Guard Armor Overhauled by Nordwar UA. This is an armor overhaul for all guards within the game. It's really expansive. This is the light version, so it's a little bit less detailed, but still looks fantastic. It can get a little bit buggy, but that happens whenever you're switching out a lot of mods. This makes it so that each hold has their own unique armor and aren't just a carbon copy of everybody, especially like the Stormcloaks. Even though this doesn't affect the Stormcloaks, it does make it seem like they actually have their own uniform, just like the Imperials do, so it gives it a little bit of uniqueness. After that is the improved Spellbreaker ward. The ward on Spellbreaker is only 50 in vanilla. This increases it to 75 to make it more stronger. It's a Daedric weapon, so it should be better, Better Thieves Guild Armor by Xbox One is a great mod that increases the spelling enchantments on the Thieves Guild armors so that they seem a little bit more worth it. It also includes the regular and the Master Guild armor. After that is Ultra Dragon Priest Mask. It seemed pretty useless to get the Ultra Dragon Priest Mask when it did barely any difference compared to the other ones. What this mod does is it combines all of the previous Dragon Priest Masks all together into this final one, including its own enchantment too. It's kind of a jack of all trades. It's honestly would be one of the best armors in the game. Then it actually becomes worth it actually going to get all that stuff. Lastly in this section is the original sleeve in Skyrim, No Bear Arms. Now this will tie into the next 3 mods altogether, but this is the first one in the list. This one essentially makes it so that there are sleeves and pants on all armors within the game, and this will tie into the next few mods that are going to alter some of the looks of the armor in the game. Okay, so this section will tie into the very last mod of the previous section, which is the original sleeve in Skyrim, No Bear Arms. That one ties into the Old Kingdom Armor Overhaul and the Old Kingdom Sleeve in Skyrim add-on. These three have to be in this specific order: the original Sleeping Skyrim, Old Kingdom Armor Overhaul, Old Kingdom Sleeping Skyrim add-on. If you have it in any other order, it's not going to work properly. These three mods work together so that way the armor in the game is altered by Old Kingdom Armor Overhaul, and then the sleeves and pants are added in by the original Sleeping Skyrim, but they are working all together because of the add-on by Old Kingdom Sleeping Skyrim. This makes the game look completely different without having to alter or add in a significant number of other armors into the game, rather. The next one on the list is Improved Closed-Faced Helmets by Navidal Official. This opens up so that the eyes and mouths of helmets are actually opened up so they're not black pits, so that way it looks like there's a person inside of there instead of just like an empty husk. Next one is Immersive Leveling Xbox One. This one alters how leveling is working in the game, increasing and decreasing some of the perk skill trees within the game so that some are increased and some are decreased, depending on how difficult it normally is to get that stuff. Most of them are actually increased. Ordinator Perks of Skyrim is one of the biggest mods out there, highestly known to alter all perk trees in the game. I honestly don't understand why some people refuse to use this mod. It's amazing. It's one of the best that there is. I can't imagine playing the game without it again. Unless I was to go through and trying to get all the achievements for vanilla Skyrim, I'm never going to undownload this mod. The last mod in this section is Mysticism Magic Overhaul. This is a mod that adds in multiple spells in the game, so that way you don't use the same old flames throughout the entire game like most people, or Firebolt or whatever. This adds in alternate versions within the game, and it's going to tie into the very next mod that's on the next section actually. So the next on our list is a follow-up of the previous mod, which is the Mysticism Ordinator patch. It's just a patch that makes it so that Mysticism and Ordinator can properly function together. Next one is their Arcanum, a new age of magic. This mod completely changes how magic can function in the game, adding in a ton of new spells and the ability to combo spells together to create whole new spells. This is one of the biggest releases of this year, and it is, without a doubt, the most expected mod coming from the Nexus to Xbox for the longest period of time, and now that it's here, it's really exciting to be able to see it. In the video you can see right here there is some clipping on the walls of Whiterun, and that's because sometimes things will get messy. That's the type of risk you take with playing with mods on the Xbox, as it is not the perfect device and it can't handle everything, but don't be discouraged by that, please. Next on our list is the Lupine Werewolf Expansion SE Xbox One Dual Werewolf Perk Trees. So this splits the Werewolf Perk Tree into two different trees and redoes them, so that one is mainly about speed and being free from Hircine, and the other one is all about embracing Hircine and becoming a tank, essentially. Both of them will then kind of like intersect and then go up into the top tree, where it then builds off of the overall thing. This is one of the best werewolf mods that there is, and in my opinion, it is the absolute best. After that, we have Imperious Races of Skyrim. This gives each race actually unique traits. It gives an overall effect, a passive effect, and an activating ability, and one quest for each race, so that you can get another active ability. It really makes it so that each type of character that you want to build really also depends on the race, where it really didn't do so on vanilla. After that, we have Summer Mist Enchantments of Skyrim. Adds in, I believe, 120 new enchantments into the game onto Skyrim, and a lot of them are really unique and crazy looking too. Last, we have 50% more perk points. So every other level you get an extra perk point. With Ordinator being that it has so many more perks that you can get in the game, you really need some additional perk points that you can grab. So this is a great mod to have. The next one we have on our list is perk points at skill levels 50, 75, and 100. So whenever you get a perk tree up to 50, 75, or 100, you get an additional perk. This is, also another way of getting more perk points whenever you have so many to be able to invest into. After that, we have Xbox One dynamic camera. This is how I alter third person and how they're viewed and how high they are. Pushing it in further instead of so high and far up away makes it so that you're actually like behind the character, makes you feel a lot more immersed. After that is belt fastened quivers. So puts the quivers for your arrows and bolts onto your the small of your back for like your belt instead of up on your back. After that, it's Royal Armory New Artifacts SE Xbox One Edition. This adds in new armor and weapons into the game for the very specific characters like General Tullius and Ulfric. That way they're not walking around with basic weapons, they have their own very unique enchanted weapons. And finally in this section is Uniques of Oblivion Xbox One. So it adds in a bunch of armor and other weapons and random things that used to be in Oblivion into the game not randomly throughout the whole game, but in specific places. I like to just encounter them randomly because it makes it more authentic and more fun that way, personally. Now we have the continuation of the Old Kingdom mods. We have the Old Kingdom Weapon Overhaul and the Old Kingdom Weapon Overhaul USEP patch. Old Kingdom Weapon Overhaul does the same thing as the Armor Overhaul, but for all the weapons. Instead of having giant paddle oars that you're carrying for swords, they're a lot thinner. Makes them look a lot better than what they normally would be through vanilla. And then the next one was the USEP patch for the Old Kingdom Weapon Overhaul, and that just makes it so that USEP and Old Kingdom Weapon Overhaul, operate properly together. After that we have I Want Better Arrows by Nikarushi. I think I said that right. It changes the look of the quivers and the arrows in the game, gives them a new texture, makes them look a lot more lively instead of the basic ones that they have in vanilla. After that is Mythical Ages Weather Overhaul by Arendelle. This is a weather overhaul. I used to use True Storms religiously, but I find Mythical Ages to be the better option. I really like it. Makes it a lot less up in your face about it, kind of like just in the background, makes it a lot more prettier. After that, we have Better Skies Xbox One. This changes so that the night sky is filled with stars and the galaxies, and just really makes it more lively. It makes it look so much more fantastic. Walking at night is some of my favorite times to be able to play the game. After that, we have Violins, a kill move mod SE. This changes so that you can really customize how the kill moves in the game operate. Instead of it being for the last character, it's randomly generated to any of the enemies that you kill within a battle. You can make it so that they're mixed up, so you don't have to unlock specific kill moves, and that it only does first person, so you don't get transitioned out into third person, which I have experienced that when it caused me to crash. So I find this mod pretty great. Now we're moving into some of the texture overhauls that I use for the characters within the game. First one up is Divine People of Skyrim Original Susie's Light. I used to use the Divine People 1 Celestial version, but it was really large download size. I find this one specifically to be just right for me. Just the right download size with just the right amount of inclusion into the game. Changes so that not everybody is rolling around in mud all the time and that they actually look unique compared to other people. After that, we have Dark Ages skins, all races and genders. So what this one does, it changes the skin so that it's not all bland, it's a little bit more shiny, while the Divine People one also altered people's, looks, like different hairs, how they were, like their facial structure and everything. After Dark Ages, we have Beast Hair, Horn, and Beard, vanilla-based replacer. I am not sure if this is still available on the Bethesda.net servers. I've looked and I haven't found it. It is still downloaded onto my mod list just for the reason I really love this mod and I don't want to get rid of it. But if it is available or something similar to it, please go check it out. It changes so that there's more hair and beard options for, the Argonians, the Khajiit, and the Orcs. Really includes a lot more. After that, we have enhanced blood textures. I'm pretty sure everybody who's ever downloaded mods uses this one. Makes it so that blood isn't like a trickle, it's larger puddles because, you're cutting people open, and makes it so that blood squirts out. It's kind of gory maybe if you think about it, but it actually makes the game so much better. After that, we have Ultimate HD Fire Effects by BuzzD84. Changes to the fire doesn't look like kind of just like colored in paper that's floating around. Really makes it look a lot more realistic. And then Voltage by SRW0. This changes so that any lightning or, magic electric effects look so much better, a lot brighter, a lot more particles in the air. Really great mod. Can't go without it. Deadly Spell impacts Xbox One is our next mod on our list, which changes the ground area where it's hit by a magic attack. Makes it larger and much more defined than what it looks like in vanilla. After that, Skyrim is windy, where when wind blows, it makes trees and foliage actually move, so that way it actually has an effect on the world. Splendor Dragon variants has a big change on how dragons appear in the world. Number one is they are classified from young to ancient, and as it gets older, the more damage it'll do and the more health it has. And then, also whenever one is randomly spawned into the world, it is completely randomized how the structure of the dragon and the colors of it look like, really making so that each fight is unique. After that is Divine Texture Creatures Pack 1, which changes the look of a lot of the creatures in the game, although not all of them. It makes it so that each one sticks to vanilla mainly, but also really defines how they look, making them look so much more realistic. After that we have Divine Wolves, a mod that's small but makes a big impact on the wolves within the game, completely changing them, having multiple appearances on how they can show up in the world, and has a background effect that I believe makes it so that they do more damage and hunt in larger packs. Final one is Haste. This mod has a bunch of changes in it, from one area where it makes it so that villagers will run away during a dragon fight, to another area where it changes the weight of iron ingots and all ingots within the game to 3. So that way you can't just carry around 500 ingots and have no problem at all. No enchantment restrictions is our next one, and it makes it so that any type of enchantment that you have can go on any piece of armor. Instead of making it so that you can only have stamina on boots or carry weight on boots, you can actually apply it to anywhere. After that is Master Spells and Scrolls Casting tweaked. It makes it so that the Master Spells and Scrolls are casted by one hand, number one, and number two, significantly faster. It kind of seemed dumb how long it used to take before. The Power of the Dragonborn Dragon Souls Xbox One, The Fire Within Shouts powered by Dragon Souls, and True Dragonborn Heavy by Glindustries, I believe I said that right, are all three mods that make it so that whenever you get a Dragon Soul, A, you get an increase to health, magic, and stamina, B, they regenerate faster, you get an increase to resistances, you get an increase to your damage with your shouts, the cooldown of them, all of that and more. It really makes it so that when you're a Dragonborn, it's really essential to kill off a bunch of dragons and then collect all their souls so you can become unstoppable. There is a cap though, so watch out for that, which I believe is only 50 souls. After that, finally, is Wildcat Combat of Skyrim, completely changing up how the combat in the game works so that you can actually injure enemies and they can get damaged that way, and how enemies will fight. Great mod, can't go without it. Know Your Enemy All-in-One is a mod that combines the Know Your Enemy mods, the three of them together, so that way all creatures within the game, all enemies, have their own resistances and weaknesses, altering it so that you can't just do the same amount of damage with no matter what you use. You have to actually kind of sometimes think. So you can't go after a dragon using fire if it breathes fire, because then it's going to take no damage at all. Pretty much dragons take huge resistance to magic, more so than even in vanilla. After that, we have the Know Your Enemy All-in-One Sleeping Skyrim plus Old Kingdom Overhaul patch, and Know Your Enemy All-in-One plus Divine Wolves patch. These are just patches so that the mod will work properly together. After that, we have Improved Bandits Complete Bandit Overhaul by XX Contrick. Changes to the bandits are so much smarter, and they work together better, and they do more damage, and they'll spawn on a higher level too. Hardcore Dragons Difficulty Expansion makes it so that dragons are a lot stronger in just a bunch of aspects, doing more damage with bites, tail hits, wings, and they kind of act a little bit smarter too, although you can only make them so much smarter. After that, we have Sirio's Enhanced Dragons X1. Does a similar effect to hardcore dragons. I kind of have some of these mods stacking together, so that way dragons are the most dangerous enemy in the game, which they're supposed to be. So why not have a bunch of mods to make it so? Continuing on the Let's Make Dragons Smarter and Stronger section, we have Mighty Dragons, which again increases the health and damage that they can do with a small other effects also. Next we have Zim's Dragon Improvements Light version. It's another way to kind of just make dragons stronger, smarter, fight better, and fight less annoying. All of these mods, most of them at least, are supposed to have it so that dragons don't fly around constantly, but if you'll watch my playthroughs, I'm in Riverwood a lot, which there's only 2 locations that they can actually land on the ground, so that makes it difficult there. Then after that we have dragons have more health, again increasing their health, and then stronger bosses of Skyrim. So this affects the 3 main bosses in the game: Harkon, Alduin, and Marath. I'm sorry if I messed up his name, I honestly can't remember it right now. But it increases their health and damage they deal. I think one mod from my last playthrough wasn't working properly and they didn't have enough health. So hopefully this way through it is working properly, because they're supposed to have like 16 times health. After that we have rebalanced encounter zones and leveled actors, Xbox One. This mod makes it so that whenever you go into an area, it spawns enemies at a higher level than what they normally are. Normally, if you're a level 10, it's only going to spawn a level 3 bandit. Now they're going to be spawning a level 9 bandits. So, makes the game more intricately difficult. After that, we have Mortal Enemies SE. So this makes it so that the enemies within the game fight a lot smarter. Just like how Wildcat does, but I have this mod down below because I find this mod to be more effective in that area. Can't have a mod load order without a follower within the game too. So we have Lucian fully voiced follower. I love this mod better than Inigo. I find Inigo's download size too large. I think Lucian is a better one also, just because you can kind of craft him into the specific warrior that you want him to be, where he's normally mage centric, but you can make him into a tank if you'd like. Talkative Dragons by Voyel. So the first dragon you encounter in Alduin are pretty much the only ones that talk to you whenever fighting. This makes it so that whenever you're fighting dragons, it actually makes it that they'll talk back to you and pretty much just talk shit. It's really great. After that, we have training adjustments. So whenever you're training with those characters in the game, it changes so that your money doesn't have to be doubled every single time whenever they're charging you, and you can get a little bit more for each level. After that, we have Quality World Map Vivid with Stone Roads. You always want to have a map mod to make it so that they look a lot better. I prefer this one the best. There's other ones within the game that can drastically change it, but I pretty much like the vanilla one. I just needed more vivid roads to be able to see. Then we have Realistic Water 2 Xbox One. I don't know anybody who plays with mods who doesn't have some type of water mod downloaded, and Realistic Water 2 is undoubtedly the best. Then we have Divine Smim, where it changes the textures of the game so that way they pop out more. If you've ever seen a rope, it's kind of just 2-dimensional. This makes it so that it's 3-dimensional. That's kind of like how it works. Skyland All-in-One is another texture mod that changes so much within the game. So this one changes the ground, kind of anywhere you're walking around, ruins, cities, all of it. Changes all of it. Kind of anywhere you would look in the game, Skyland All-in-One is going to change it, and it makes it so that everything looks significantly better. After that, Immersive Civil War Cleanup Xbox One is a mod that's supposed to make it so that all the damages that you would see in, like, specifically Whiterun gets cleaned up and fixed after time once the Civil War's, like, cleared through, instead of having just broken stuff lay around everywhere. I mean, normally that wouldn't be, you know, a staple of what a Jarl would think is good. After that, we have Beginner's Shack and Riverwood. A small little house mod that I find is one of the very few mods in the, that's a house mod that doesn't break immediately the second you walk into it. It's very quaint, very small, easy to use, and really nestled in right next to Riverwood. Stocked shops makes it so that all shops within the game have items everywhere. Instead of it being completely barren and then you go into their inventory and it has a ton of stuff, it actually shows everything out. Really awesome. Radiant Unique Potions and Poisons Glow is a texture mod that replaces all potions and poisons in the game to have unique looks. Instead of the barren like pink and blue and green look, they actually radiate, just as the name says. Finally in this section, Thunderchild, Epic Shouts, and Immersion. This mod changes so that there's a bunch more shouts within the game that are comboed from other ones, which you would be able to learn once you find all the other ones. You'd be able to increase your power of your shouts and the duration of them also by going through the quest line that it has. The Parthenax Dilemma is our next mod, which makes it so that whenever you side with the Blades, you don't have to kill Parthenax, or vice versa. That way you can actually do what you want without having to ruin the relationship of the other. After that is Open Civil War Xbox One. This mod is supposed to open up the game of how it was supposed to originally operate for the Civil War, so that you'd actually have to take each hold, and then your enemy could actually take it back. Really expands the Civil War instead of into just like an hour-long process sometimes into a much longer period of time. I've been really enjoying it through my current playthrough on Bosca. Mainland Stalrim outside of Solstheim Xbox One is a mod that makes it so that as you're going through dungeons, you're able to find some Stalrim deposits, so that way you can get the armor sooner instead of having to wait for the Dragonborn DLC to start. Trees in Cities by Stupid Dunmer is a mod that adds trees into cities, making them look more lively. Really simple mod. After that is Tamriel Reloaded Trees. Makes it so that there's more trees around in the area and kind of changes the look of them too. Small mod with a big effect. Unique Grass is our last one in this section, which changes the look of all grass within the game to have, you know, a unique look with a very small download side. I think this is the staple grass mod that I'm going to be using from now on. Couldn't do without it. Landscape fixes for grass mods changes so that when grass is added into the game, it's not going to overlap all of the buildings and other structures that are in the game, so that way it doesn't clip through. Alternate Start Live Another Life is a mod that if you've ever started playing mods, you need to have at least this one and USEP downloaded. Instead of going through the vanilla start that takes like 45 minutes to do sometimes, you actually get to go into this cell where you're able to pick a specific way to load into the game and your backstory to start it off with. Dynamic Dungeon Loot DDL Xbox One changes that each chest in the game is going to have generally more loot in it and has the chance of these exotic type weapons that is added into the game from this mod. I've specifically only found about 3, and they're pretty strong when you find them. After that, we have Rebalanced Level List Xbox One. So that is another one that alters what you get within chests and looted items in the game. So dragons are a big effect on that one, where you're going to get a lot better loot from them, being as they're one of the toughest enemies in the game. Then we have Soul Gems Glow in full SSE. You know how some of the smaller soul gems were pink? Well, now all of them are going to be pink if they're filled up with a soul in them. After that is Rich Merchants of Skyrim Special Edition. So each merchant has 10,000 gold. Have fun with that. Instead of having to reload the game every 48 hours to get more money off of them from selling stuff that you just cleared from a dungeon, you can do it all at once. Most times. Star 50% more gold, a superior treasure and rewards mod, makes it so that any gold that you would find in the game is 50% more. Just makes it so easier to become a rich person within Skyrim. Stay Arrow Stay changes so that there's a lot more arrows that'll stay generated in the world whenever you're firing them off. Instead of only like being 3, there's actually up to like 45 now, and 15 within one person. So you can actually make people a pincushion. Gist, Genuinely Intelligent Soul Trap is an amazing mod that I found where if you have a specific soul trapped in your grand soul and it's only like a petty, and then you finally get a grand soul and you capture it, it's actually going to replace that petty into a petty one that you have, or just delete it and put the grand soul into the grand one. Really awesome mod. After that, Amazing Follower Tweaks changes a lot of the game for followers. You can really customize everything. I mainly just have it so that you can have multiple followers at the same time to go with my role-playing characters. After that, Better Creature Loot. Whenever you kill an enemy, like a deer, you expect to find more than one chunk of venison and one antler. I mean, they have 2 of those, so you should get 2, right? diverse creatures and bosses, Xbox One is the final one in this section, and it makes it so that you can randomly find like higher level, stronger, normal enemies within the game, aka like wolves and other stuff like that. Unlimited items unlocks all items within the game from being locked at a specific level. That way you can grab any item at any time that you want instead of waiting till later in the game to get a higher stat. Then Color Patches Remover removes color patches, these orange blocks that are in the game. People say it's USEP, people say it's vanilla. I think it's probably a combination of both. Just have this mod downloaded and you won't have to experience them. Then disable God Rays. This turns off all God Rays in the game, so that way they're not overpowering the lighting overhaul that you have and not overpowering your sight. Mods Manager Cap. This changes so that whenever you're in the main menu of the mod section on Xbox, it extends the mod library and the favorites list to extend all of your mods instead of only some of them. Xbox One proper aiming. So this changes so that whenever you have an altered version of the camera setting in the game, it changes it so that it's lined up with where you're aiming at. Sensible first person 1.05 scale, lower weapons and higher eye makes it so that you're higher up than where your actual character is to be able to see enemies. Your weapons seem lower and not taking up the entire screen. Our final three mods are No Screen Blood, which gets rid of all blood on your screen whenever you're fighting, and FPS Eternal, which increases your FPS higher throughout the entire game, and then finally Xbox One Insignificant Object Remover. This makes it so that the game does not generate random things that don't have any actual place in the game. Mainly rocks is the biggest thing. This will increase your FPS too. So I just wanted to say thanks guys for watching this video. I really appreciate it and taking the time to go through the entire thing. I worked really hard on this. This is one of the biggest videos I've ever done. And once again, please comment below what your favorite mod is and some mods that you'd like me to check out. Maybe I'll start a whole new series on mod reviews. I'm not sure. Currently right now, this is the biggest video I've ever done and the most extensive one. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Please let me know below and hit the like button, subscribe, hit that bell icon so you get more notifications whenever I go out and create a new video, and then follow me on Twitter. Come check out my stream too. I know this is a lot, but I really try to create the best content for you all, and I hope that you appreciate it. So once again, thanks guys, and I'll catch you guys next time.